A few days ago, I recorded a story about the Perfect Dark team losing Dan Neuberger, who had left the company. And today, a news story came out that describes the situation as people leaving fast and furious in terms of exiting. Insiders describe fast and furious exits from Xbox's Perfect Dark studio. I brought up that I was concerned. People were like, it's fine, Destin. And now this story hits. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit more and sort of why I feel like people should at least be a little bit concerned about it. Let's talk about it. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell if you like my content, where we talk about all things in the industry. And don't forget, I am raising money for Ukraine. So go on over to bit.ly/Let's Help Ukraine. We're raising money for Project Hope. As you know, like 2.5 million people are currently fleeing Ukraine for their lives because there's a war happening there. So hopefully we can raise a little bit of money so Project Hope can get them food, get them equipment, get them medical treatment if it's needed. And that is what that is for. So if you want to donate, it's for a really good cause. bit.ly/Let's Help Ukraine. I really want to talk about this story from VGC, posted by Andy Robinson. Basically, it says, insiders describe Fast and Furious exit from Xbox's Perfect Dark studio. As much as half of the core development team have quit in the past year, initiative management says it's confident in its team. We're just going to read this story because there's a lot of important context that I'm going to get into just in a second. Xbox's The Initiative Studio has seen... Okay, I already read that. As much as half of the core development team known to be working on the upcoming Perfect Dark reboot quit the company during the last year, or around 34 people, analysis of employee LinkedIn profiles reveal. And basically, I did it myself. So if you look on LinkedIn, you can see there's about 57 employees who work there currently. And what VGC did is they went through and they eliminated any of the redundancies. Like if you scroll down here, you can see Dan Neuberger is actually still listed as employed there, even though he is, here he is right here. He is currently looking for work, right? So if you go to his profile, you can see open to work. So he probably is no longer there. And then there's some at the bottom. So there's around 50 employees. 34 people seem to have left, according to LinkedIn profiles that they looked into to see, okay, how many people actually left? Two of the higher profile ones include Drew Murray and Dan Neuberger. Chris O'Neill was also included. Jolan Myers and two senior system designers. A group of 3 former God of War designers left. And there's more than that, obviously. So that's most of the senior team. And the turnover of top talent doesn't end in design. Perfect Dark's 2 most senior writers also recently quit, analysis shows, along with the project's technical director, technical art director, lead gameplay engineer, lead animator, QA lead, and more. According to Lincoln, the initiative now has less than 50 people when duplicates, former employees, and erroneous listings are removed, and currently has just 3 roles advertised on the website. Analysis suggests it hired around 12 people in the past 12 months. So for me, that means one of 2 things. It either means the 34 people left and they just straight up didn't replace them, meaning that more than half of the workforce, more than half of every employee at the initiative left. That's massive turnover. Or if the 34 people just left and they weren't replaced, then now we're down to 50. That means they originally had 84 people at the studio. So 33% of the studio has left. Neither of those are good. That's very, very bad. Now, recently we know that the news was that Crystal Dynamics joined the team. And basically, Crystal Dynamics is going to help take the game across the finish line. The timing of the departures coincides with the September 2021 announcement that Crystal Dynamics had been signed to co-develop Perfect Dark. This, combined with the few job roles currently advertised at the initiative, suggests that the Tomb Raider developer is likely taking a much stronger lead than first thought on the project. Interviews with multiple former senior developers cited a lack of creative autonomy and slow development progress as the reason for their departures, and described the wave of exits as fast and furious, with project momentum said to be heavily affected. The initiative's management told VGC it's confident in the team it has in place and new talent joining, and pointed to industry-wide staffing challenges during the COVID-19 pandemic. It's no small task to build a studio and reinvent a beloved franchise, studio head Daryl Gallagher told VGC. In creating the initiative, we set out to leverage co-development partnerships to achieve our ambitions, and we're really excited about all the progress we're seeing with our relationship with Crystal Dynamics. In this journey, it's not uncommon for there to be staffing changes, especially during a time of global upheaval over the last 2 years, and there's plenty more work in front of us to deliver a fantastic Perfect Dark experience to our players. We wish all our former colleagues all the very best, and I'm confident in the team we have in place, the new talent joining, and we can't wait to share more with the fans. In the games industry, competition for experienced talent is at an all-time high following a pandemic-fueled gaming boom, and unhappy initiative staff would likely have had plenty of alternative employment opportunities at the large number of neighboring AAA studios in California. Across the industry, many studios are also currently facing a talent crisis, with the sheer level of expansion and investment in the sector making it challenging for even the biggest studios to retain and attract senior staff. So the main part that was concerned, actually, I think they added to this article. Although the initiative's website claims the company promotes a collaborative, creative environment, former employees describe the studio's development hierarchy as very top-down, with Gallagher and Neuberger keeping a strong grasp on creative decisions. According to the former employees, many senior team members were frustrated by this perceived lack of autonomy and didn't feel heard on key issues such as development priorities, project planning, and team staffing. Gallagher and Neuberger, who were previously studio head and game director at Crystal Dynamics, wanted to make games the way they always had, with top-down direction, the sources said. Well, many initiative employees were expecting a more bottom-up approach. As a result, it's claimed that development has progressed painfully slow and a solid company culture never formed. All former employees VGC spoke to said they were surprised at how lenient Microsoft had been over the lack of progress. So actually, some people were talking about crunch and everything. I actually think this seems somewhat positive in that Microsoft isn't pressuring them to crunch to get stuff done, but maybe Microsoft should have said, well, we need to see something by this date, or something to make sure that they had reasonable goals set within a reasonable timeline that wouldn't cause crunch. Crunch is very important for Microsoft to avoid. Obviously, that's not something that they're going to start moving towards. One person said, making games is hard enough, let alone when you feel like you can't get through to people making the decisions that affect everyone, probably responding to the top-down approach. The culture issue was partially behind the decision to bring on board Crystal Dynamics, exclaimed, with Gallagher and Neuberger allegedly hoping that production would move more smoothly with the introduction of a second team familiar with their methods. Crystal Dynamics' introduction is also now very likely to plug the gaps left by the initiative's staff turnover, VGC was told. VGC's sources agreed that they would be surprised if Crystal Dynamics' introduction, combined with the significant departures of core staff, hadn't triggered an effective soft reboot of Perfect Dark, and that it was likely still years away from release. It's understood that Xbox's leadership team are prepared to be patient with their new first-party teams, which includes those currently working on Playground's Fable and Rare's Everwild, as they prioritize assembling groups capable of regularly producing the kind of critically acclaimed prestige projects that come from PlayStation studios like Naughty Dog and Insomniac. So I had brought up that I was somewhat concerned. People are like, I don't care, when the game comes out, it comes out. The reason that this bothers me is because this was Microsoft's first big initiative to create a dream studio, basically, that had top talent and made a top game. And it would seem that it failed. When you have to bring in Crystal Dynamics to sort of set things right and get the team going in the right direction, that's bad. That's not a good thing. And what was my, I tweeted some things here. I said, if you don't think it's concerning to hear 34 former employees, including several leads, found that Xbox's initiative was not creatively fulfilling enough to stay. Now, that's how many people left. 34 people left. There's not 34 quotes out there, right? 34 people left and they weren't fulfilled enough to stay. You can bet your butt Microsoft thought it was worrying enough to actually do something about it. You don't bring in a second publisher to help if things are going smooth. That said, I do think, I'm quoting myself, I don't know why, but yeah. That said, I do think Microsoft looks to be keeping their word and giving space to this new studio. I do think that works for Bethesda, but here I think it would be more of a guiding hand. I think a guiding hand could have been helpful in this situation. It certainly seems something was not working with the configuration. Now, my final tweet was basically, it's fine if you get it wrong. And it seems like they got it wrong at launch and they are working to fix it. Make adjustments, keep making Perfect Dark. It's strange that the whole internet is just like, oh, this is fine. It's totally normal to totally let go of 33% of your staff. It's not normal. Like 30, like whether it's more than half of the people left and they replaced them with Crystal Dynamics, or 33% of your staff left and you had to replace them with Crystal Dynamics. And then the people who worked there were saying like, hey, this wasn't creatively working in an interesting way. It's problematic. And when I see Xbox fans just like, this is great, this is good news, I'm just like, guys, like, look, you can love Xbox as much as I do, right? But if you see stuff happening that seems fishy and you're just going to turn on your blinders, you're still blind, right? This is a problem. Now, I will say this. I will say that it does seem like Microsoft has stepped in and made the corrections that needed to happen with Crystal Dynamics. The reason that it's concerning is because this is one of the first studio initiatives from Microsoft in a long time. And just to see it, I was really excited about this. It was the initiative. They had top tier talent at the company and a lot of them left already, you know? I think the game's going to be fine. Like, who knows at this point? But to hear that there were issues with Halo Infinite, we still don't have campaign co-op. Player numbers are down already, and there's concerns there, right? There's concerns with Perfect Dark. And the reason I say concerned is because Perfect Dark is a game that has a lot riding on it. There's a lot of expectations. There's a lot of hope for bringing this franchise back. And I'm not just going to turn on my blinders and just pretend, oh yeah, 34 people leaving in a year. That's normal. 34 people. It's a studio of 50 people. So many people left after the restructuring that basically it's just going to be a Crystal Dynamics game at the end of the day. It seems like the Tomb Raider team is just going to take it over. It could be, I mean, that could end up being a great thing when the game finally comes out in 5 years or however long it's going to take. But I would not expect to see anything in the near future. So yeah, I do find it concerning. And like, people are like Pixel was nice mostly about it. He's like, opinions are just opinions, nothing more. Yours isn't right or wrong, nor is anyone else's. For all we know, Gallagher bringing in Crystal was the catalyst to make people move, which is exactly how it sounds to me. What initiated him to make that decision? That's a good question that he leaves. But like, half the studio leaving isn't my opinion. That happened, and that's bad, right? Look, if they left and they ended up going to a better company where they're more happy, that's great. But I'm very surprised at the response to this. I'll just say that. I'm not... Like, some people are like, oh, so you're advocating for crunch. It's like, oh, so you're saying, or what's the meme? I can't remember. I find that, my opinion is that I find this somewhat concerning to have such a high turnover at a studio that is currently comprised of about 50 employees, top employees leaving and resetting. And we saw what Halo Infinite had to do to get to a great place, right? They delayed it a year. That's fine. At least Perfect Dark didn't hit the point where they had released a trailer or anything. But to hear that there is this much turnover, this much friction at one of the first startups, that's a little worrisome. Now, I actually see Microsoft staying hands off as a positive for companies like Bethesda, who have been brought into the fold. And if Activision happens, them mostly being hands off, except for cleaning up house and then setting things back on pace the way that they're supposed to be, that sounds about the right amount of involvement needed. For a new company that's just trying to get their stride, though, to have no involvement, it seems like it was the wrong move here. And time's going to tell whatever happens with Perfect Dark. But I don't think people are being hyperbolic. I'm sure some people are online. I don't feel like I am. I'm just saying, like, this sucks. It worries me that it was this problematic to, like, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. 34 people quit in a year. So that means the studio was 84 people strong and 34 of them left, and they were replaced with Crystal Dynamics, basically. So how much of that original vision is there? It sounds like the soft reboot thing is the most likely scenario here. And what does that mean for the future of this studio? What does that mean for the employees who weren't redundancies yet? Are they just going to get folded in the Crystal Dynamics? Like, I think we see more departures. I think it gets a little bit worse. Not worse, but like, I think more people are going to move on before things even out. So that's just sort of my very raw thoughts about the story that I wanted to share with you. Let me know what you think about Crystal Dynamics. Is it all cool? Are people worrying too much about it? Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my videos, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know when they go live. I have a more positive Xbox video coming tomorrow. My original video was about a bunch of cool stuff Xbox has in the works, not about this, but this is like too big not to make a video about today. So thanks so much for watching. Don't forget, if you want to help out Ukraine, you can do so at bit.ly/Let's Help Ukraine, donating money to Project Hope. Thank you to everybody who has donated this far. And also, if you want to become a member of the channel, you can do so. Memberships are turned on. You just click that join button. And a big heartfelt thank you to all of the members who have supported this channel for as long as you have. Thank you. I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you for the next one soon. Bye for now, everybody.